Watch this!
This is the Nautilus pullover machine. Now, Nautilus was founded back in 1970 by Arthur Jones. There's no relation, but Arthur Jones was basically trying to find a way to place resistance directly on the latissimus dorsi muscle, those big muscles of the upper back, the ones that give you the V. Now, every other kind of back exercise involved pulling, whether horizontal or vertical pull downs, and they always brought into play the hand flexors, the forearms, the biceps, other muscles basically that were weaker and smaller were worked during those back exercises, and they fatigued first, so you never really fully utilized the full strength of the latissimus dorsi. And basically what he did was come up with a way to put direct resistance on the elbow, which is the bone, the humerus bone that the lats are attached to. And so if you can place resistance on the elbow, you're working the muscles directly. They came up with the name Nautilus based on this silver cam here. The silver cam is kind of shaped like those Nautilus shells, the sea mollusk. And as the cam moves throughout a range of motion, the resistance changes. It's called variable resistance, and that resistance adjusts throughout your strength curve. You're not always strong in every part of the range of motion, so you may be weaker in the back part, a little stronger as you come down, a little weaker again, and this gives you a little bit of a change in resistance to try to match your strength curve. Now, this is an amazing machine if you do it correctly. Although most people overlook it and underutilize it, if you do it right, there's really nothing better for building latissimus dorsi muscles, that V of the upper back. Now, my elbows are going to be back on those pads, these pads right here. And when I pull down like this, my body, because I'm pushing this direction, my body's going to want to go forward. So to prevent that from happening without using other muscles, I have to wear my safety belt, my seat belt. Now, you may think that's funny, but most machines, if they do have a seat belt, it means you should probably use it. Okay, it's there for a reason. It's definitely not for aesthetic appearance. So nice and tight. You want to keep your lower back flat in the seat. You want to keep your back against the pad, sit vertically. So now I'm in a position where I'm pushing back behind me, I'm not going to go forward. Now, as far as lining up seat height on this is very, very important. And what I'm trying to do is line up my axis of rotation, my shoulder joint, with the axis of the cam. Now, as I push forward with my foot lever, this brings the movement arms forward, and you can see where the axis of rotation is in the cam as you move this back and forth. That axis right there in the center of the cam is what I'm trying to line up my axis of rotation of my shoulder joint with. The problem is, when I do this motion, my elbows go up overhead, I'm actually elevating my girdle, my shoulder girdle. I'm lifting it up, lifting up my shoulder blades, and it's changing the axis. So it's different from here than it is here. And I'd rather be lined up when I'm in the top elevated position, otherwise you kind of get bunchy at the top of the range of motion on this. So you really want to have somebody in front of you looking at this, kind of finagle the seat so you're lined up so the acromioclavicular joint, that little bone that protrudes off the edge of the shoulder, lines up with that axis when you're sitting down. So that AC joint's a little higher than the true axis of rotation, but as you lift your elbows up, you're elevating and you're moving into the range of motion that you want to be in. Okay, I'm lined up with the axis of rotation. My seatbelt is on, nice and tight. I'm going to place my foot on the foot pad, press it forward to bring these forward. Most machines have extreme range of motion, extreme stretch in the back position. You need to start it off with a foot plate just to push it forward to bring this into the right position. So elbows on the pads. I'm going to start by bringing this down, all the way down. This is a contraction. Now remember, the upper back muscles bring the elbows from a fully flexed position all the way back. I mean, this can keep going, but all the way back behind your head, and then they extend the arms down back behind the body. Now, if I push with my elbows, I'm only using the latissimus dorsi muscle. There's a couple other muscles that come into play a little bit, like the teres major, the long head of the tricep, but it's primarily an upper back exercise. I'm not using my hands, my forearms, my biceps, other muscles I'd use if I did some kind of a pulling motion. But the key on this also, let me stop this for a second, is to not use the hands throughout the range of motion. You don't want to push with your hands the whole way, because basically it's doubling the length of the lever arm. From the point of the axis of rotation to the elbows is about a foot. From the axis to the hands is about 2 feet. Okay, so if I pushed here, it makes it, sorry about that, it makes it twice as easy, half as hard. If I had this bar way out there, it would be even easier. So you want to push with the resistance on the elbows itself. The only time I touch my hands is when I go back over my head. If I let my hands off, I'd probably go back too far. And this one has extreme range of motion. It can really stretch back there. But as I come into the motion, as I bring it down and my hands come into sight, I only want to push with the elbows. And slowly back. So hands off until it goes back maybe out of sight. Hold your hands just to protect the shoulder. Don't go back too far. Whatever's comfortable, within reason. Breathe out on the way down. Now you have to make sure you go full range of motion on this, all the way down until the bar hits you, or the elbows are back behind you as far as they can go. And slowly back. Always have your foot ready. If you go back too far and you just can't handle the weight, have your foot ready to grab the weight like this. Most machines do have some kind of a foot mechanism just to protect you from going back too far to get in and out of the machine. The range of motion on this is extreme. It's more than 180 degrees range of motion. It's much more than doing that pull down exercise. So you want to keep the movement slow. It may be actually slower than the 2 or 3 second count, the 4 or 5 second count that I usually explain when you're lifting a weight and lowering a weight. So that if this takes you twice as long, if it takes you 4 seconds to bring it down with no momentum, that's fine. Just make sure you breathe out a couple of times. If you run out of air halfway down and you're out of air, huff and puff, okay? Keep breathing. Don't create that Valsalva maneuver. Don't create the back pressure, holding your breath and matching the color of your upholstery. So if it's red. So this is working the biggest muscle of the upper body. If your facility has a machine like this, some kind of a pullover machine, definitely use it. It's equivalent to doing like a leg extension for lower body, a single joint motion for a very, very big muscle mass. So it's a great exercise. It's very difficult, but it will give you that V shape in no time. That's it for this machine. We're on to the next compound movement for back, and that's a horizontal row.